Hello and welcome to this video where I show my Burnout-tober process. So Burnout-tober is kind of like Inktober but for burnt out people. And I didn't have time for a normal Inktober, so I decided to go with this challenge instead. So the prompt list only has 8 themes on it, which makes this a lot easier for people that just don't have time. And you can see the ads of the creators on the top of the prompt list if you want to check them out. So the first theme on the prompt list is turn an object into a character. This is something I was actually pretty excited about, and I went around my house to find a nice thing to turn into a character. And I decided on this little bowl that we had in our living room. I felt like it already had a really strong silhouette when you flipped it upside down and already kind of looked like a little character. So I went with that, and then I decided to make 2 different sketches. One where the head is sort of higher up and another one where the head is a little bit buried in like this collar type of thing. And I obviously went with the second one because it was just a lot cuter, and it had like this cold vibe in a way, like she's wearing a big coat and has this big headdress and has a big collar and like a nice little fluff thing for her arms. And yeah, I just think she was really cute. When I started on this shading, I decided to actually color it like she was wearing glass. I don't know why I did that. I think it might have been more successful if I actually drew it fluffy. But I wanted it to sort of stay true to the bowl, so I went with a glassy effect. So the bowl is actually very detailed, but I decided to simplify the bowl for my drawing so I wouldn't take forever. This is Burnout-tober after all, and we're not about to get too caught up in the details. So here I'm adding in some bright red highlights before I go in with some white highlights. I do this just to add a tiny bit more dimension to it, and I also really like making the highlights. Then here we have a little close-up of the face. So here I'm just drawing in a really quick line art and then start shading the face. I gave her some bright red lipstick and some bright red cheeks just to tie in the red to the face as well. And here is the finished drawing. I think she looks absolutely adorable, and this is definitely one of my favorites from this Burnout-tober. She's so cute. The next prompt is last song you listened to, and when I made this drawing, the last song that I had listened to was Who Is She by I Monster. The song has kind of a mysterious, kind of creepy vibe to it, so I went with that sort of vibe. The first lyrics in the song are also, oh, who is she? A misty memory, a haunting face, is she a lost embrace? And I want to make something that sort of captured that. So it's like a little mysterious, a little dark, a little weird, you know, a haunting face, what could that be? So I went with a sort of spooky face in a way, like she's kind of shocked or something, and then I wanted to add some blood just for a little bit more effect. And I also really like grayscale with a red pop to it. Most of the drawings in this video were also made really quickly. I think I used about 2 hours max on each drawing. So these were done fairly quick, and I didn't really give myself time for some super details or anything. So not a lot of drawings in this video are gonna be very polished, and a lot of these drawings are also gonna be a bit more experimental because I wanted to try different things, so they're not my typical smooth style. Here I'm coloring in her t-shirt, and then I add her eyes, which I decided to make red to match the blood on her face. And then I gave her black hair just to tie in more of the black color in there. And that's pretty much it. Here is the finished result. I think she looks alright. I think I could have done better, but I do like the blood. Next theme is human meets insect. So this is another one I was pretty excited about, and I decided to make a little moth lady. First I went with a pretty human looking one, but then I decided to actually make it more mothy and just like with a human body. And they're holding a little glowing light because moths like light, right? And I used some references of this really cute pink and yellow moth. Sorry, I don't know the name of the moth. But I actually, after trying the color scheme out on my yellow moth, I just didn't like it. So I went with this sort of gray, more earthy looking moth instead. I decided to give the moth like really rough looking hands with like thick fingers and like some textures on the fingers just to make it more rough. I wanted to look a little spooky, you know? And then here I'm starting to shade the face. I really like the shading of this moth face, it's adorable. And here is the fluff. Then I just color in the clothes and the eyes and the orb. And do some glowing effects, and that's pretty much it. Here is the finished result of my little moth. Absolutely love this one. I think she is so goddamn adorable. Here's a little close-up of it, so cute. Look at the little eyes, look at that orb. Ah, beautiful. Prompt 4 is portrait using a medium you avoid. I decided to take this quite literally and decided to finally open this very, very old watercolor crayon thingies that I've had in my drawer for 10 years. I've been avoiding them because I just don't know what to do with them. I've never really seen these before or heard about anything like this. But I start with some tests just to see how they work, because I've never worked with these before and don't know if it will blend well or like how do you do this, you know? This kit also does not have any colors that fit well with the skin, so I decided to start with a yellow portrait to see how it goes, or see if I like it, see how they blend, and I was actually really surprised by how well they blend with water. It was pretty amazing. Like, look how smooth that is. So smooth. And the colors are really vibrant and beautiful, and I was very pleasantly surprised, and I don't know why I avoided them so much. Here I tried 2 other colors. I tried one in like magenta, purpley red, and then I try another portrait that is blue and pink. In the end, I end up liking the yellow and red one the most because the blue just looks a little bit too unnatural. Then I decide to do a little sketchy sketch first, of course, for the main portrait. I start pretty basic just by doing the face form and then adding in the eyes, and then I add her little nose, which is also just a pretty basic nose, but then I decide to give her these big ol' lips and a little fang for some vampire effect. I also decide to chop her head off. I don't know why I did that, and also give her a little cut in the ear just for some character, and a poorly cut haircut, so like a home cut type of hairstyle. Then when I finally finish the sketch, I can start coloring in her face. I start with the yellow, of course. I sort of go from lightest to darkest, so I just start with the yellow in the lightest areas. Then I go with the orange in like the blushy parts of the face, so on the nose and under the eyes. And then I start with the red for like the deeper shadings. I also tried the brown color for like the shading part or like the shadows, which I ended up not liking because it just looks a lot more muddy, and that's not what I did in my test, so I don't know why I decided to do that here. But you know, can't win them all. So here I am just using the little water brush that I have that has like the water inside the brush. I love these things, they're so great. And I start blending everything out. I am so impressed with how smooth it actually looks. I was expecting there to be like this crayon-y texture to it, but there's none. It's really smooth. Then I can start adding second layers, and I go with some more red because I kind of missed that. I didn't have enough red in my opinion. And then I just blend that all out, just like I did with the first layer. Most of this drawing process is just blending with this water brush. That's almost all there is to it. And then here I'm coloring the neck, and then I start with the hair, which I decided to make for the most part black, but I also wanted to add some, like a little bit of spice. So I went with some red highlights, which you will see me do here. Look at those, they're cute. So I went with that, and then I just keep coloring in that nice black color. I really like the contrast between like the yellow in the face and then just complete black. I decided to go with like this orange highlights on the bottom part of the hair, which I later regret because it looks alright with the red. It's like you can still see that it's red, but here when you see me coloring it in the yellow one, it just looks muddy and ugly. So there was actually a video error while I recorded this, and the video just stops here. It just freezes, and for the next 6 minutes it's just frozen. In the 6 minutes the video froze for, I actually finished the drawing, and this is the final result. Basically what I did in these 6 minutes was that I just went in with coloring pencils with black and red and added some texture and some lines in it. And I think it looks pretty damn good. Next up is Spooky Cute. I had a very clear image in my head for this one. I really wanted to make a really cute little tiny pumpkin boy sitting in a swing. I decided to give him this very basic face, and then I started drawing the body. And I found a reference online of a kid sitting in a swing because I do not know how to draw people sitting. So that was definitely a big help to see sort of how the legs go, how it works, all that stuff, where the hands go, where you're holding the chains, you know, it's hard. I decided to give him these autumn clothes because it was October when I made this, and I also decided to make a very like autumn looking color palette. So oranges, reds, and greens. Here I'm drawing in the line art. I decided to add a lot of like little lines in his face because I think that adds to the rough and spooky look. And then he gets some nice shading in the face and some extra line art on his little hands. Then here I'm drawing in the chains for the swing and the rest of the swing before I shade in his hands. I also wanted to give him like this pattern on the sweater. I feel like that would just add a lot more details, and I also just really like making sweater patterns. They're really fun. I also decided to make a really quick background for this one just to add a little bit more to it because I felt like it was a little bit too simple. So I added some little rocks and some grass, and that's pretty much it. Here is the finished little pumpkin boy. I think he's adorable personally. Look at him, he's cute with his little sweater. Next theme was anatomically incorrect. This one was tricky because you have to make something anatomically incorrect but make it look like that was the intention of it, right? So that was definitely a challenge for me. But in the end I decided to give this character ginormous hands, and I also wanted to add cutesy elements to it. So she's like super cute, but she got like humongous hands. So my inspiration was kind of like Monster High meets Sailor Moon, because she's like a cutesy Japanese schoolgirl, but I also wanted her to be a monster of some sort because she has like these big old hands. Oh, and I also decided to give her this teeny little boba drink just to show how big her hands really are. She got some green skin to match the monster vibe that I was going for, and long eyelashes to add to the cutesy vibe. To add more roughness to her hands, I made them very square, and I also added some tiny little lines around where you bend the fingers. I also decided to add some scars, so she kind of looks like she was sewn together. Maybe she's a zombie or something like that, to add to more of that monster vibe. For the cute side of her, I decided on some pastels and hearts, because those are cute. And I gave her some very like pink blush when I decided to shade her face. Long painted nails are also a must. Here I'm adding some highlights to her face to tie it all together before I start on her hair. I decided first to just make her hair pink, but then I wanted some more dimension to it and gave her some little stripes. And here I'm just adding in the final details. And that's pretty much it. Here is the final result. She is actually also one of my favorites from this Burnout-tober because she's just so cute. Look at her. Look at her little face. The 7th prompt of this list is one of the 7 deadly sins. This one was pretty hard and I didn't really know what to do with it, but I decided to go with sloth and just make a person lying in their bed holding their phone. This is probably one of my least favorite ones of this series because I just wasn't really motivated to do it and I didn't like the result of it. Here I find some references of people holding their phones in bed just so I know sort of how the hand works. The hand still didn't turn out good, it's still pretty wonky, but who cares? It's good. It's Burnout-tober. It's not the end of the world. I gave this character some very basic hair, some very basic clothes, and some very basic coloring, and I didn't even bother to make proper line art, so I just used a sketch. So it's also a bit messier than my other drawings, and also I think I used the shortest amount of time on this one actually. I think this one was, yeah, the shortest one. So here I just add some final lighting elements to it to make the phone look like it's shining, and here's the final result. It's not great, but it's not really bad either, it's just an okay drawing. The last prompt of this video is the most recent photo. My most recent photo was actually just a photo that I took of my TV screen when I was playing The Rise of the Tomb Raider. I took this photo because I really like this outfit and wanted to use it for inspiration for later drawings, because I just really like the armor mixed with the fur that she has on her shoulders. I thought it would be a bit boring if I just draw Laura standing there in her outfit, so I decided to actually make a character inspired by the outfit. So it's not necessarily Laura, it's just a character wearing that outfit with a sword, which Laura would probably never use. But spoiler alert, in the end I just made it into Laura anyways, because I didn't know what kind of hairstyle I wanted to give her, and I just thought it would be just easier to just make Laura. Here I finally finished the sketching and can start on the line art. Don't worry about the hands, I will fix them later. But first I must color in the face and the hair, and then I can gather up the courage to continue on that line art. So I sketch the hands again, make them a bit better, and then do the rest of the line art. Here I'm just coloring in the flat colors of the armor before I start shading the rest of the drawing. I start with the hair, make it very basic, and then I do the face. Here I start shading in the sword and the armor. The armor is pretty muscly shaded, but I actually really like how rough it looks. I think it looks pretty damn good. And then I do the little chainy thing, skirty thing. Then I add some final highlights and the fur. And that's pretty much it for this drawing. And here is the final result. This was the final drawing of Burnout-tober. I'm really happy that I found this challenge because I always want to do Inktober, but I never have time, so this was a really good alternative. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you liked it. I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you again next week.